Hi, you, this, me, Gabriel. I make, write, and I mostly talk a lot in a field that you could call artistic research. But here's the thing, see? I usually assume that speakers must present an established argument to support their relatively solid opinion on it. Unfortunately, I don't seem to be able to do just that. I merge so many media and genres and points that things get obscured beyond repair and become purposeless threads of thought. And, well, this is also in part why I chose artistic research as a model, where I hope to explore this derailed theory as a form of artistic practice. Still, even in this field, I'm usually regarded as a pseudo-theorist or a pseudo-artist at best. I don't seem to know what I'm talking about. So what do you do when you try to contribute something relevant knowing all this? I mean, how do you not fuck this up? Well, actually, instead of correcting things, I decided to do the exact opposite. What would happen if I actually completely and totally fuck this up? What would happen if I gave a talk made up out of way too many claims and opinions, hardly countable, if even founded at all coming out of the mouth of a bunch of obnoxious split personalities? How radical could this debate between these personalities get before things get out of hand? I guess I'm asking what would happen if I acted like a troll. I mean, like an internet troll, or if I acted like several internet trolls attacking one another. So, what is an internet troll exactly? Basically, I would say trolls are people who keep behaving like assholes online for no clear enough reason. There isn't yet a consensus on the term, but I would say that trolls generally start arguments online or upset and provoke people, or just lead the discussion astray. More on purpose, less on purpose, either way, the result is confusion and sabotage. Trolls make wild accusations based on completely made-up arguments, and many times they resort to personal insults. So it's kind of like online harassment, but not just any type of harassment. It's playful harassment, even sadistic. It fucks with the mind. So what if I use all this fun as an approach for an academic talk, right? So then I started looking for artists who maybe talk about trolling or just media theory, and of course I ended up with Hito Steil, and eventually I wrote my master's about her. Which makes sense. Well, first of all, Steil too uses a multiple representation of herself in her work, which I felt worked with my idea. And second, I wanted to show that when she deals with internet phenomenon regarding representation, like spam images, proxies, selfies, avatars, etc., she then manipulates them into artwork as a strategy to make her point, and that is what I was trying to do with trolling. And in 2015, she even dedicated an entire talk to trolling.
Why should we try reason with unreasonable trolls? I'm not even sure if trolls are even human anymore. There are probably less bored, pimpled human trolls harassing people from their room in their grandmother's basement than there are online bots, software posing as human, which works diligently to approach us with content meant to mislead, confuse, and incite us. Human trolls might act heartlessly, but the bot trolls literally have no soul. And we have by now taken so many selfies that we don't even know when the internet will snatch one of our images and use us to troll ourselves. All this sounds quite helpless, so why am I actually defending trolls? Normally, we assume that if we are all the internet, which is this massive pool of our thoughts, then the troll is everything we disagree with in this pool. It is everything we do not want to be. If the troll is our extreme limit, then it is also a limit with a face, our face. So I say we better talk to it, because what if trolls are not only there to trick us, but also to teach us? After all, by manipulating us, trolls are trying to think outside the box, or at least they are able to show us the box in which our thoughts are circulating. This is valuable knowledge in this age of political campaigns, which look like reality TV, where what is said matters less than how it is said and the response it provokes. In fact, mannerisms are, at times, the only actual scripted content. Everyone is today trolling everyone, literally. Trolling has become the international mind sport of smashing the box. So perhaps we need to flex our muscles accordingly, unless we want to get squashed.
I actually met Hito later through a mutual friend after the keynote at Transmediale, and I told her I was writing my work about her, and she was curious. I then eventually found her email and sent her the YouTube link to this video I found, together with a short explanation about my idea for the work, and I asked if she'd care to comment, but I got a very angry response. So it turns out she misunderstood the reason I sent her the video and assumed I made and published it myself. And what's more, she didn't exactly claim I plagiarized her work as much as she claimed that I completely invented it and therefore have now sabotaged her reputation. And she then said, and I quote directly, she would never in her wildest dreams say such things and that I should expect consequences. So I tried to explain myself in a very, very, very long email, which took me 2 days to write, but before I could send it to her, a video response by Hito was uploaded to YouTube.
This here is
Seemingly typical of her style, she used the original video with a different voiceover, in which she mainly attacked me for having the nerve to imitate the way in which she speaks and moves, in what she felt as a racist and misogynist fashion, declaring she refuses to be represented like this. That again is a paraphrase of one of her texts. I think it's Spam of the Earth, but never mind. So I turned the volume down here because at a certain point she starts cursing me in an absolutely obnoxious way, and by now people online were clicking and defending her using the exact same mean language. So at this point, I was startled for 2 reasons. First, because this response was, in my view, completely uncalled for. My name too was now being shamed, and for very poor reason. And second, because something was absolutely bizarre about Steil's response. I mean, the way she paraphrased her own quotes was not her style, the voice sounded funny, and of course I could never imagine her talking to anyone so rudely, no matter what they may have done. Then I grew even more suspicious when I noticed something even stranger. Okay.
Troller trash bin of a cunt.
Troller trash bin of a
There. Okay, that weird gleam under Hito's eyes? It didn't seem right that the light would only hit there. I mean, not when the whole face is in the dark. So this gleam was a reflection of something, some kind of material mounted on her face, maybe glasses? So I then turned the brightness of the screen to the fullest, and guess what I found out? Nice. I then also noticed that the name of the account wasn't even listed as Hito Steil, but rather as Tito S. Hiro, which sounded very similar to how I write my stage name, Gabriel S. Moses. So Hito was right. This Tito was indeed an imposter who did indeed resemble me, so indeed Tito was trolling me and Hito making us fight, but actually Tito was none other than me. I don't remember someone hacking into my account. Maybe they didn't have to for this particular purpose, but either way, why would someone do this? I'm practically nobody. So, I wrote to Tito, but all I received was the words, "Go fuck yourself," in bold capitals, and I even filed an official complaint to YouTube, to which YouTube simply reposted Tito's reply, thereby telling me to go fuck myself twice. So with no better option, I started thinking, hey, this could pass as pretty weird trolling art. I could even use it for my work. I wasn't sure because my presentations already tend to be a bit crazy, a bit all over the place, a bit like academic trolling. But if I found a way to somehow appropriate this artwork as my own, maybe. So to do so on Facebook, I reposted a link to the whole YouTube thing so far, and I added a title. Check this out, people. Tito, who is Hito Style, has just academically self-trolled me. So, though I now thought of it as hilarious art, what I didn't anticipate was that my own Facebook friends wouldn't get it. They didn't seem to realize that this Tito was in fact a fake me posing as Hito, and most of them confused Tito for the actual Hito. So now friends were writing to comfort me, and a few even wrote to Tito thinking it was Hito and protested that she was needlessly rude, to which Tito again replied hurling insults at my sister. And, lucky guess, I don't have a sister. Hito herself never responded after that email, nor to anyone online, until eventually one friend who was a student of hers confronted her about the whole thing in class, and a day later I got an email from Hito from an altogether different email account than the one that I originally wrote to, and it said, "Hello Gabriel, I believe we last spoke briefly at Transmediale. You are Boz's friend, right? Well, I have to say I am a bit amused by this whole YouTube frenzy, but I haven't been involved in any of it. I would never in my wildest dreams say such things. Sincerely, Hito. PS, the first video about the internet troll is somehow cute." By now, this response too was put into circulation online, with people ruthlessly defending either me, Tito, or Hito. And what's more, as a sign of solidarity, everyone entangled in this debate changed their avatars to the cartoon of either me, Tito, or Hito, depends who they were defending. And that's how I discovered also how the original cartoon was forged. It was a free website where you make your own cartoon figure, but all the figures looked alike, and what's worse, they all looked like me. I have been assembled. But by whom? I then found out I myself was actually registered to this cartoon website, password and all, a thing I do not remember doing, and then the weirdest of all rumors started going around. Using decryption programs, code artists I didn't know, who nevertheless looked like me, revealed that all these videos and emails were fake and were all in fact linked directly to and generating from my Gmail account. So whether I was aware of it or not, I was behind it all. I needed to think. I could no longer concentrate. I could no longer follow my very own logic, assuming that it was even mine to begin with. And this was all beginning to sound like a short story by Paul Auster, I would say. And I was delving in speculation, and I was about to do what I always do in these situations and splinter off into absurd associations and go off topic. And like Hito said, unless I wanted to end up getting squashed by these trolls together with this weird social media box, I needed to get out of it fast. And that's when I retreated to the woods. And in the woods, I found an old sequoia tree, Sequoia dendron giganteum, actually, and I decided to climb it. And at the top of this tree, with all its thick branches and foliage, a clearing appeared. And in the clearing shone a light, bright and strong. I stared at it, taken by the urge to go blind. But instead of blankness, a face suddenly appeared, hovering, smiling calmly. It wasn't God, I think, or Derrida, or even Baudrillard or Deleuze, but it seemed authoritative enough. So I screamed at it with all my might. "Oh God of post-structuralism, hear my plea. What has become of me? Have I assembled myself? Had I assembled myself only to assimilate myself by my own self? Was I, in fact, the possible multitude of all these polarities? Or was I only one version of myself who just happened to occupy this physical body at this particular time? Was I, too, a mere replica? Was I trolling myself?" And the face now seemed to be nodding. And without moving its lips, a voice answered back, a good voice, reasoning and reassuring. And the more I looked, the more I realized it was my father. But he too was wearing a wig, so maybe he was my mother with a Japanese hairdo and a beard? Or maybe they were all my psychoanalysts who had recently passed away in a freak golfing accident, now talking from the heavens. I'd like to think it was my father. I kind of love my father. His voice told me not to worry, for he loved me too. And he was with me always because I was in him and he was me. He was me online, no matter what I claimed to be, as I clicked like on my own profile picture to somehow regain some forlorn sense of context. He was all knowledge, all claims, refuted and approved. He was the shocking news last week about Boko Haram in Cambodia, which was actually a hoax, which I then reposted by mistake, thinking that this was real news. But it's okay, because it was my father who put it there. It was in fact he who was trolling me just to teach me a lesson. And he is here with us in this room right now. He is the exploding cannon of scholarly text, which you will now tell me that I either haven't read or misquoted completely. He is the absolute control of academia over knowledge, even in its ugliest forms of incoherent ramble, kicking, cursing, lying, and epistemic abusing. He is me, who is reflected by a greater they and an even greater we, and we are the Father, the Son, and the unholy troll, this trinity in matrimony constituting a discourse which we cannot escape, since outside of it exists nothing, since we are always in the box. But to remind you, I'm not here right now. I'm still on that treetop. And my father was there too. Who was my mother, who was Hito style with shoulder pads? And I looked into my Asian-looking father's eyes and reached out, and I felt his presence penetrate my gaze, and I then realized we were making love as he planted his semen, which was my own, deep within me. As it pulled me in, I followed until my mind collapsed into my father's image and my words molded into one single text which only made sense to myself, and I carved this text frantically on the trunk of the tree, and I could barely make it out, but I believe it read, "Bless the troll, protect the troll, for without the troll all knowledge is just ramble. Without libido your father's just a dick with wrinkles on it, and nobody likes a shriveling dick late at night, not even your feminist professors. It's just useless in bed." And it is then that I reached a point of sexual exaltation so strong that I fell from that treetop and broke my neck the very moment in which I came with the force of a blazing phoenix. But I was reborn that day in my father's ashes, self-assured in my own prism mirror image. And as for the box, it remained intact, all right. Its discourse practically unaltered, only now I can see it. And that very evening, the really real Hito Style published a new lecture about trolling, boxes, etc., which is claimed to be her very best work yet. Rumor has it, however, that she has borrowed the title of this talk from someplace else.
Oh, and